All right, folks, welcome back to the monthly investing adventure. Today is May 2nd, 2023. I'm a day late on this, but yesterday was really busy and I just couldn't get around to it before the market closed. So it is what it is. It's early in the morning for me, so the sun is coming through, but it's been a bit cold lately, so I have my little sweater on. Let's just get right into it. So as of the end of April, the portfolio ended at $504.66. This is a little bit below what was forecasted, but pretty much in line with what I think should be happening. The transfer has already happened for this month, so another 250 was added for the beginning of May, and we're going to go and make our buys. The one thing I want to point out is that at the beginning of your investing adventure, whatever the market does, even if it's supposed to go up or even if it does go down, your contributions and additions to the portfolio will make a much bigger difference to the balance than anything the market can do. So if you're looking through this, the growth in the first couple of months for the portfolio is primarily driven all by contributions, right? Because we start from zero and we're just adding 250 and we keep going. Let me remind you quickly that the allocation is set to be 70% stocks, 20% bonds, and 10% gold. Of the stock allocation, we're splitting it into half of large cap growth as represented by the NASDAQ 100, and then half of that is with small cap value as represented by this Advantis ETF, AVUV. The forecasted return for this portfolio over a long time is 9.39%, but through April, we had an annualized return of 5.59, so a little bit lower than what's expected, but that's normal. So you shouldn't get worried about any of that if you're new to investing. I have a little chart down here that I don't remember if I shared last month, but I'm going to begin to include it and talk about it. But it's basically just tracking what the actual is doing in the dark blue compared to the dotted orange line, which is the forecasted value. And you can see that for the first 2 months, it's essentially on that forecasted line. As we get more data, you'll see that there'll be up and down movements and whatnot, but over the long term, we should be on this line. All right, so let's jump into the portfolio and see what we're looking at for today. So as of this morning, it actually went down another $7, $6.88. Market's pretty volatile today. So the performance that I was showing you on the spreadsheet was based on an April 28th close, so the end of April. Let me refresh this and see what's doing. Oh, it improved a little bit, so there you go. But you can see that the balance has increased because we made our monthly contribution. So let's go ahead and do the buys. The only difference that I'm going to do for this month is that instead of buying the allocations manually, I'm going to utilize the Fidelity Solo Fidfolios. Now, that's a mouthful to say, but this is a feature that I'm testing out. You certainly don't have to use it, and you don't actually need it because it's something that you have to pay for. It's $60 a month. And the Solo Fidfolio is supposed to allow you to create a basket of stocks, and you can then just buy into that basket at will. So that's the idea. This is actually very similar to M1 Finance and their Pi concept. M1 Finance does a better job at it, I think. When we go into it, I'll show you how it looks like. And it's also free, but I don't think that M1 Finance is as good a platform as Fidelity. And I would recommend that even if you're starting out, that you should just work with Fidelity, make it your primary brokerage, just because it's a much better experience. They're a better company all around. So this Solo Fidfolio feature that they're rolling out that you have to pay for, unfortunately, is not a deal breaker. Down the road when you acquire a lot of assets, you may decide that you want to use it. And I have not decided if I fully want to keep it yet because I'm still in my 90-day trial period. But part of this video I'm going to cut out to make as a separate review of the solo Fidfolio. So there may be a little bit more explanation than I would normally do for the monthly investing adventure. So let's go ahead and take a look at Fidelity's solo Fidfolio. So this is what the dashboard looks like. And I signed up a couple of weeks ago, and I started to put some of my accounts into this platform just to see what it does. And my biggest gripe is that it does not pick up existing positions. So let's say that you have a very simple portfolio of half stocks and half bonds, just two funds. And you build up your basket, which I'm going to show you, and you set it to be 50% stocks and 50% bonds. If your portfolio already has that as holdings, it does not get picked up in the value, right? So as an example, my Roth account is, has a lot more funds in it, but because it's already invested, and even if it's the same allocation, it doesn't pick it up. So it showed me a balance that just doesn't match reality, for lack of a better word. If you were to look at, an allocation, I can go and just edit the basket, just as an example, so you can see what it looks like. And when you do that, you can pick any ETF, stocks, whatever, and give it your weights, and it'll report to you your current weights versus what you've set up as your target weight. And then you can buy this entire basket. So let's go ahead and just do this from scratch. You can see what it looks like. And like I said, it's not picking up like a lot of my existing holdings at all for any of these accounts. So that's my biggest gripe at the moment about solo Fidfolios. But let's ignore that for now and build a new basket for my monthly investing adventure. So we'll click on Build New Basket. By default, they provide you with some of these models that are supposed to follow certain themes like cloud computing or AI or whatever. I ignore all of that. It's not really needed, in my opinion. I think it's a bit gimmicky. I guess, if you were interested in some of these thematic models, you can use it as a springboard, because while it does come with, 30 stocks or whatever, you can certainly add more to it. There's some directions below. But like I said, we're going to ignore their models and just build from scratch. So I'll click on that. And by default, you get this blank page that has nothing. So for our monthly investing adventure, we're doing a 70% equity, 20% bonds, and 20% gold. So let's do the equity portion first. Of the 70% equities, we're dividing it into 35% for large cap stock that is represented by the NASDAQ 100, which is QQQ. I'm going to add that to the model, and I'm going to put 35%. All right, next symbol is the small cap value, and we're using an Advantage fund, AVUV, so Advantage Small Cap Value ETF. Add this to the basket and set this to 35%. Next up is the bond portion, which I'm using GOVT. It's the iShares US Treasury Bond ETF. And 20% is going to be allocated to this. So we'll set the target weight to 20%. And lastly, we're going to have 10% gold, which is represented by GLDM, the gold minis. I'll add this as well and put this at 10%. Okay, let's go ahead and click continue. So adding the ETFs or the stocks or the mutual funds to the basket is pretty easy. There is a limit of 50. And if you don't want to use, specific target weights, you can set them to equal weights with this link. So setting it up, pretty easy. Next step is to select the account that we want to invest from, the amount to invest, and then naming this basket. So I'm going to go ahead and select the monthly investing adventure. Right now, there's $250.21 to trade. So we're going to put in 250. And I'm going to name this the monthly investing adventure. I'm going to go ahead and preview the order. Gives me this warning because gold minis are a commodity and I've already signed that I will trade these. So this is the way that this looks right now. Note that there are no commissions. So once I click place order, it's going to execute at market prices based on this target weight. So let's go ahead and do it. And we're done. So there were 4 trades total, and I can go and view the basket and see what it looks like. So now monthly investing adventure is a new solo fidfolio on my dashboard. If I expanded, I can see the weights. Right now the value is 249.74, so either it didn't invest the full 250 or the value has gone down slightly since we placed the order, which is fine. We don't really care about those movements. If I hover over the target here, it tells me what percentage for each basket, and that's it. We're done. Now, this is what I was talking about in terms of, it doesn't pick up the existing allocations to this basket, even if it's exactly, the same holdings. So in our monthly investing adventure, we only hold these 4 investments, yet it's only picking up the current buys, right? The previous $500 that was in there is not even in there yet. So that's probably my biggest gripe for Solo Fidfolio. Fidelity does say that this is on the roadmap and that they'll start to incorporate existing positions from your accounts into the basket model, but I have no idea when that's going to roll out. The one thing that they did improve on from when I first started this a couple weeks ago was that they do have a smart rebalance. So when I go and do buy more into this account, for example, I can use my target weights, and you can see in the description that it says add money using smart buys. So smart buys basically just allocates more funds to the positions that you're underweight in and less to the ones that you're overweight in, which is what you should do because it's helping you to rebalance as you add new money. This way you stay close to your asset allocation without incurring costs because you have to sell and get capital gains or what have you. So that's the basics of Fidelity Solo Fidfolio. Like I said, they do charge $60 a month. Is it worth doing? For a small account, probably not. I would just manually do the buys. There is a convenience to be able to set it up and then just clicking place order to make all your buys in one, especially if you have a complicated asset allocation, maybe 10 or 15 investments in there. But if you're smaller, I would just save your $60. It's probably not worth it at this time. The other thing that I don't like about the implementation right now is that I can set up this basket, and if I want to use it across all my accounts, there's currently no way to do that. So that's what it is. But returning to our portfolio, when we started, we had $250.21 in the money market fund. So this was the cash that was contributed for May. If I now refresh, I can see that there is a deduction of $249.74 against this SPAC's position for pending activity. So in fact, we actually purchased this much, and now the investments are going to fluctuate. But essentially, the account is now fully invested again, and that's it for May. So thanks again for watching and following me on the monthly investing adventure. I'll see you back here in June. If you're following along, we should be around 750. When we cross that 1,000 mark, I'll do a little mini celebration on that video, but we're not quite there yet. But hopefully in June, we'll see what happens. And thanks for following along. hopefully this gives you the incentive to start investing if you haven't already done so. If you want to use this allocation, you're more than welcome to. Just keep in mind that I'm not a financial advisor. You got to do your own research. This works for me, this works for other people, but as always, don't just follow anything you see on YouTube or the internet blindly. But thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Later.